everybody.
Hey everybody, all right, so I'm just going to start off with the LCloud Awards. So everyone who wins these gets $50. They can get it through Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App, whatever they choose. First one, these are for the people who are either the most communicative, the most punctual, or the most active within the group this semester. We do this each semester now. We vary the amount we give, but this semester it's going to be $50. The one for the most communicative, this is the person that communicated the most with us. Every email we send out, they send a reply, making sure we know that they got it, or they're asking the most questions. And like we always know that when we send something out to them, we know if they receive it or not, or they always ask us what they need in as far as like any questions they have about the group or any activities that are happening. And that goes.
I feel like at this point, you all know, person knows.
Every semester they win. This one goes to V. V's always communicating back and forth. Anytime you send her any emails or anything, she's always sending a response like thank you or just received or something like that. And it really helps to know who's getting it, who's not. And she always lets us know if she can or cannot make it, which is also very nice. For most punctual, again, that would have been V, but because we don't give out an award to the same person twice, it actually goes to Mai. Congratulations, Mai. Mai was coming in, she comes in early every single time. She came in early again today. She hasn't been able to come for the last few meetings, which is why V caught up, but that's because she's been working on she's been working on trying to apply for a grant for some project that she wants to work on, and we're really hopeful that she gets that because it'll be a really good experience and really good opportunity for her. And hopefully this $50 can help in your next project. And just thanks for coming on time. It really helps to get these meetings started and not waste time. I really appreciate it. And it just helps to show professionalism that if you were going to be professionalism, that if we were working with you on set, you would be there on time or early, which really helps, which is, what you need to do anyway. So thank you for that. As far as most active, this is the person that was the one who did the most exercises this semester. They participated the most. That again, it was tied between either V and the other person who won. V would have gotten it, but since V can't, it goes to Vish. Vish was participating in the most exercises this semester. He missed out on a few of them, and V did the others that he didn't do, but between them both, they both tied, and the second place would have been going to Sarah.
I think he mentioned that he couldn't do today, so I will probably message him later and let him know.
Yeah, I'll email everybody. So congratulations to the winners. You guys all get $50. After the meeting, let me know if you want it through Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal, and we'll send it your way. We really appreciate all that you guys do. It helps keeps this group going, makes it fun, makes us have something to do on the days when we have the activities. And makes us know, shows again professionalism. And everybody, thank you. You all started doing a lot more this semester than previous ones, where you're showing up on time and you're telling us that you're coming or you're not, and you're communicating more. And this is good because it shows that you guys are growing and that you're getting more professional, and it's becoming a little more like how you would if you were trying to be on set.
Even the people that are virtual only, they'll message us and let us know, which I really appreciate as well. Some people, but yeah, this was just our way of thanking everybody, because we always say that at the end of the day, we made this group primarily for us to learn and grow in aspects of filmmaking and stuff. So we never really focused on recruiting 1 million people or getting a huge group together or anything like that. But we did want to build connections, and we thought it would be fun, and we try to make it as fun as possible with the little exercises and stuff for us and for other people learning with us and growing with us and stuff like that. So we just wanted to make you guys feel appreciated and let you know we like you, and we
appreciate it. And it helps us too, just with those things, because it makes things flow better, and it just makes us know that everybody's receiving the messages and all of that.
And
So
it contributes too, because you guys have also contributed a lot of your own lessons and your own experiences, things that you've learned. So it's also really cool to have that and be able to have like a wider, broader conversation as well, and some perspectives that we wouldn't have otherwise known or heard of. So that's pretty cool.
yeah, so congratulations to the winners. And next semester we'll be doing the same thing. We'll let you guys know how much the award amount is. Next semester, it might be less, it might be more, it might be the same. It just depends. So we'll let you guys know.
Inflation's pretty high, so it might be.
But we'll let you guys know next semester on that. But just keep that in mind and just keep trying to improve, because it'll help you later down the line, and it'll help us as well.
And we try not to count the end of the year, end of semester, because we know that that's always hard, especially end of semester was always kind of like people were starting to get back to it, because we started this project, I think in like January or February.
January.
Yeah. So there was still like during the pandemic, people were still locked in the house. So life started getting back to normal, and people started having to like balance stuff out. And end of semester would always be kind of crazy, because it'd be like, oh, it's more of a recap and I have so much to do. So I'll sometimes come in others. But the communication was still there, and the passion was still there. And like people were just really cool, and we really appreciated everything. So end of the year, we know that it's pretty busy, so we'll probably reach out to a few people that aren't here. But this first year, because we're still going to do another year of it, it's next year will be the final year. For those of you that don't know, this year is pretty awesome. I can't believe it's only been a year. It's barely been a year, like a month. We learned so much. It feels like we've been doing this for years at this point. And it's just been really cool. Like, it's been a really awesome experience.
Yeah, we're excited to continue doing it. So we appreciate everybody who keeps coming back and who's following online, because you guys help us, motivate us to keep doing it. Because if it was just us, it would be a little harder, because I like learning with other people. I like hearing from other people's experience, or trying to answer their questions and helping other people learn.
We would still do it,
and asking my own questions. Yeah. So I like doing it with a group. I would still do it if it was just me and Priscilla, but I'm just saying, like, I like doing it with a lot of more people, because it just helps me to feel like I need to be on time. I need to be motivated to do it. And it helps me actually do it, which is the best thing about it for me. So I appreciate all of you. Moving on from all that, let's go into, we're going to do a little quiz for this semester. I know Colin and Maya, you guys have been missing a little bit, so you guys can just guess if you don't know. I'm just going to go in order of what I see on screen to ask the questions.
You're not being graded. It's okay if you don't know. Just give your best guess and, have fun with it. If you get it like really wrong, it's even funny, so it's fine. But we're not judging like, oh, you know nothing. No, like it's just for fun.
So is everybody ready?
Unfortunately, guys, the semester quota will not be in a blazer.
No, it's just gonna be my picture this time.
But I'm trying for next semester. I really am, because that was so much fun. Because we're also not like, every semester we have like, did you actually learn anything? A game, and he has like these little cards, and the first semester he was in a blazer and it was adorable, and I want to bring it back. So next semester,
the name of the quiz game is Did You Learn Anything This Semester?
Can I ask a quick question? What camera did you guys shoot on for your project?
We used James' camera. It was the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. All right, actually, Maya, you're going to be starting this off. You're the first one on my screen, I see.
Wow.
So your question is, what is the difference between hard light and soft light?
I mean, the hard light versus soft light is in photography and in cinematography, the hard light that is not diffused.
Mhm.
I'm just winging it. Whereas the soft light is diffused, and therefore the hard light is not diffused.
Yes.
So that's
Yes, that's one of the aspects about it.
The shadows are pretty stark in hard lighting, and in
Yes.
soft lighting, they're blended.
Yes.
The edges are, they're very sharp edges in hard lighting, and in soft lighting, there aren't as many hard edges.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to show a picture. I was just pulling it up. Yeah, that's basically exactly right. Like for hard light, it has these very harsh shadows. It's very clearly defined most of the time. And you can see like where it cuts off. The one on the picture on the left would be the harsh light. Soft light, it doesn't always wrap around the entire subject, making them look kind of flat. Sometimes they still have shadow, but it is a lot softer, as we can see in this lady's picture. The one on the right, the shadow, it falls off into the shadow gradually instead of a harsh decline right at the edge of her face. So soft light will do that. It also doesn't cast as hard of shadows on the background, like in this picture. And it makes people look a little smoother and softer whenever you're using soft light. Soft light it can be either diffused or bounced, and that will help to make it spread a little more and make it have that nice soft look. While harsh light can make people like blemishes and things stand out a little more, and the creases in people's face have a little more hard of an edge, like you can see in this lady's picture on the left. So yeah, that was great. Great answer.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to who's next? Colin. Colin, let's see if you know.
Okay, we'll see what happens.
I mean, this one's not that bad, so let's see if you know.
Okay.
Which two kinds of mics are the most often used for location sound on a set?
Oh, I mean, I can guess boom mic, I think, would be one.
Shotgun mic, but yeah, same thing.
I do that too. I call it boom mic all the time because I do boom pole and then boom mic.
Shotgun
like
mic, and then there's like the
official
other
term?
kind of mic they usually.
Wait, like what do you mean? Is it the shotgun mic? Is that what it's like officially called or something?
Yeah, like it's on a boom
Okay.
pole, so it's like, you know, boom mic, shotgun mic.
Yeah. And like I would imagine like, you know, whatever, I don't know exactly what they're called, but the other type would be like the one that's on like the characters or something. Like
Yep, that's the
I
one.
don't know what it's
Lavalier
called.
mic is what the name of it is, or lapel mic.
Okay, yeah.
There you go. That's the one. To the one on the left is the little lapel mic. You attach it to somebody's shirt, or you attach it like in a wig or somewhere around them, maybe sometimes in a plant if you can't put it on their actual person. And then there's the shotgun mic, which is on the right. With that one has wind resistance on it, but it just looks like a straight little pull, and it's very directional. And that's what the boom operator will use to direct the sound towards the character.
Yeah, and like we always say, like everyone says, it's always good to have both if you can on set. It's always good to have backups. It's always good to have more coverage, and just it just is always, you know, that extra step. It's always,
If you can, you want to use both at the same time so that you pick it up from multiple sources, so that if one's not working or has something wrong with it, you have a backup that still works. So they always say, if you are able to, put a lavalier mic on the actor, and then also have a boom operator pointing a mic to him. That way you pick it up from both. But yeah, great job. Priscilla,
yes.
are lav mics omnidirectional, bidirectional, or directional?
Love,
Lavalier mics.
they're directional.
No.
No?
Nope.
Wait, aren't they like only one?
Lavalier mics, the ones that attach to people.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Aren't they like only one? Like, aren't they like right below your mouth? And that's like,
Yes.
isn't that considered? Oh, it's isn't that only directional?
No. Nope. Lavalier mics are what's called omnidirectional. And actually, this goes to the next person. V, what does that mean? If it's omnidirectional, what would that mean?
always hear omni and I think multiple. I don't, but maybe that's not what I mean.
It is multiple directions.
Oh. Because everyone constantly focuses on the fact that like it needs to be below your mouth to get like the best
It does.
sound and all this stuff. So I always think of it as like, oh, it's direct omnidirectional means all sides, which means it's wider, which means it picks up more. So if it needs to be directly underneath your mouth, it must not pick up that much.
No, it's just because of the way that how far they can pick up and where they pick up sound from is different. So the distance is different than the like where the mic's picking it up from.
Yeah.
V is right in the chat. She says goes in all directions, every direction. And I'll show the picture.
Okay, so I know what they are. I just got misunderstood.
So the omnidirectional picture would be on the right. You'd have the mic, and from every direction from that mic, it's picking up sound. Like I said, it doesn't mean that it's picking it up in 500 miles that way, 500 miles the other way. No, it might pick it up only 5 feet or pick it up really well from 5 feet or something like that, or even closer. So that's not really indicating how far it's picking up. It's just what direction it picks it up from. If you know, like people who use mics like cardioid, this mic right there on the left, that's like people on stage at like church or up on stage at an announcement, announcing something. They have the mic that picks up only sound from the front, but they still have to hold it right next to their mouth for it to work really well. If they had it really far away, it wouldn't be picking up their voice as well, even though it only picks up that sound from the front.
Yeah.
There's a better picture of showing like the cardioid mic, the little one on the left. You can see how it looks, and it only picks up sound from that direction, so that they have to hold it up towards their mouth.
Yeah, I feel like sound was all of the terms. Like this has been a pattern this year. You guys have noticed I'm awful at remembering all the terms of everything. I feel like that was probably my weakest point as far as like learning all the stuff goes, was just from some of the sound stuff. If I were to pick something that I still need to work on remembering, it's all of the sound terms and stuff.
All right, Brian, this one is, what about a shotgun mic? Is it omnidirectional, directional, or bidirectional?
I want to say directional.
Correct.
But yeah.
Yeah, so and what would that mean? Wait, somebody would, oh, Sarah.
Yeah.
So we are going through the quiz game right now. You just joined in, so I'm going to skip to you since you reorganized the screen. So shotgun mics, I just asked Brian if they're omnidirectional, directional, or bidirectional. He said they're directional, which is correct. But what would that mean? What does directional mean in a mic?
So I say that again. One more time.
So a shotgun mic is directional, but what does that mean? It's picking up sound from, it's like it's directional.
Oh, so that means like whoever, if you're picking up sound, it's taking the sound in from the direct angle that the sound's coming in. So if the mic is pointed towards your mouth, it's going to be directional straight in. It's not going to be bouncing off of anything. Or
correct.
Because there's some mics where you can set them up and like it bounces off like a shield to capture sound, but this is a directional, so it's directly in.
Correct. And that would be the on this screen right here, you'd see at the bottom right, you have the shotgun mic. Shotgun mics are very directional. As you can see, they don't have as big of a bubble where they're picking up sound from. They're picking it up in that little tiny path. So you have to have, that's why you have a boom operator pointing the mic directly at your actor's throat or chest or mouth, so that they're picking up the best sound from that actor. They are one of the mics that actually pick up sound from farther distances the best. So you do want to keep that in mind when you're having a shotgun mic. You can have somebody be farther away than you would like a lavalier mic, where you have to attach it to somebody's actual clothing to get the best sound. But you do have to point it directly at them so that it's what's called on axis, meaning it's in that bubble where it's picking up the best sound from. Otherwise, it sounds a little more muffled if you have the mic turned and it's not picking it up in the right direction.
We also learned that even those mics can vary as far as like the range distance and
different mics, different brands, of course, can all, like have different ranges they pick up from. So it's not all about that, but they do pick up sound farther away than other mics would. So let me go back.
I
and
just want to
see.
mention that because that's also something to consider and keep in mind. Not every, I keep calling them boom mics.
Shotgun mic.
Not every shotgun mic is going to have the same distance, is going to have.
It's actually interesting that it's called shotgun mic, and I wonder why, because it's not like spreading out like a shotgun does. It's very,
Just 'cause it's
directional.
wide.
It's more like a sniper than a shotgun, but I'm not sure
Maybe it's
why
because
it's
it's just
exactly
like
called that.
wide and it was supposed to be like circling, the sound was supposed to be like circling around. So like spread out. I don't
Maybe,
know. I
I
don't know how
don't
to
know.
explain it.
I don't know. It's more like a sniper.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I just wanted to say bye-bye and Merry Christmas to everyone and a Happy New Year.
All right,
I'm just
Merry
going
Christmas,
back
Hi.
to
Thanks for
writing.
coming.
No,
I hope
Of course.
you,
Thank
like
you
I
so
said, I
much.
hope you do well on your application for the
Yeah, we'll
project,
be
and I
here
hope you
rooting
get
for you,
the
and we love
grant.
to hear. like,
Thank
the
you. Thank
best
you. I will let you
and
guys know, how it went.
All
So
right.
thank you so much.
Thank you. And let me know in an email. Just send me an email if you want it through Cash App, Venmo, or
Sure,
PayPal.
I'll do that. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah, keep us posted.
All right, Colin, you're next on the screen then.
Okay.
Are lavalier mics or shotgun mics better at resisting wind noise?
Oh, that's interesting. I would imagine shotgun mics are probably better.
Actually, no, it's the other thing. I
What,
don't know. I don't know
really?
exactly why, but for some
That's
reason,
weird.
lavalier mics, they're not as bad at picking up all that wind noise and making it very annoying. That's why, like, you'll see lavalier mics have these big, huge wind resistance things, like not lavalier mics. Shotgun mics will have like these big wind resistance things, like a blimp.
But that
Road
doesn't
blimp.
mean friction resistant. They are very annoying with friction. That is very true.
So yeah, you have this whole encasing that goes around the mic and stuff because they're so bad at picking up sound. It's because the way they're designed, the way they cancel out noise from the sides, something about that makes the wind really get in there and really mess up the sound. And so the lavalier mics are apparently very good at, you just have to have like a little tiny, like, something like the little furry thing up here, but it's like a tiny version for the lavalier mic, and it actually cancels out a lot better than a shotgun mic, which is also why you want to use both, especially if you're in a windy instance. Even if you have a blimp and all this stuff, depending on how windy it is, it might mess up your noise, but the lavalier won't have as much trouble with it.
Okay.
All right, who's next? Priscilla, you're next on screen. This one's easy.
Gee, thanks.
Well, I'm just saying, I just went to the next one. What form do you need when you're securing locations?
Location release form.
Correct.
Oh, that's kind of ironic because that was like one of the first things you asked me, like as a test, like quick. It was
Yeah.
the same question. And I was like, okay.
Location release form. You got to make sure you get that signed from your location so that you have permission to scout there. Well, that would be a different form, but once you do the location release form where they say that you can shoot there, you have to have the dates and what you're doing there and what you're allowed and not allowed to do. If they don't want you to move things around, things like that, that'll all be in this form, and it'll be the agreement between you and the location owner that you're allowed to use their space, record their space, and use it in your project for later. All right. V, what should you look for when location scouting? This is going to be like a bunch of different answers, so you can just put whatever you remember. When you're scouting for locations, what should you look for?
Yeah, it's a pretty broad question, but like the main things that come to mind.
Specifically on like a tech scout, once you're going to there to like really analyze the location.
Yeah, because I was telling Code, I was like, I feel like this is way too, like maybe too broad of a question because it really varies on what you're going there for, because every different person in the crew is going to be looking for something different. But generally, the tech scout is the person that goes there first.
Yep,
and-
she's right. She's got parking, outdoor, if it's outdoors or indoors, if you need to do stunts, reverb for sound, safety, setup.
Yeah, and that's why, like we mentioned, it's important to get as many people of those main departments as possible with you on the location beforehand, because holy cow, we've seen how important it is for the sound person to be on the set beforehand, to be able to see where the echo, if there's any echo, if there's any things that he's gonna need to bring, like sound blankets, stuff like that, extra.
That's another good point. You said go at the same time you'll be shooting, but then also go back during the other times of day to hear like if there's any traffic.
Yeah, I mentioned
Not just for
like,
that, but also to
20
see how it looks, because it might change drastically. And then, oh, we only have 2 hours and we go to this location because at 4 p.m. it looks different than at 2 p.m. when the sun starts moving.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was something that I had mentioned early on, because I remember someone gave me that advice for house hunting. They're like, oh, never go there only at one time. Make sure that you go there multiple times a day to see what the traffic is like and what the neighborhood is like and all this stuff. And I was like, man, that aspect really goes towards location as well, because you might think you found the perfect location and then you get there and it's like, oh, this is awesome. And then at a certain time of day, like apparently location we scouted, the location we found, which was great, by the way, it was awesome. But it was funny because like, oh, a train goes by here.
Oh yeah, train goes by every so often, so then you have to like stop to the shot and all that.
Yeah, we had to pause a few times, and it's like that. If we had known that, we could have been like, okay, guys, the train's gonna be here in like 5 minutes. Let's do this quickly and then pause or something. Maybe would have been a little more on top of things.
Or just taking into account like the time it takes to pause for it. But yeah, so that is
exactly.
some things. I'm gonna just go through the list that I made. There's more than this, I'm sure. Just off the top of my head, I made a list. First of all, it doesn't match the story. You always want to make sure that it matches your story. You're not just picking it because it's the easiest location. If you can, you want to make sure to get that for the story. Don't just take what you can get if you're able to get a better location, even if it costs a bit more. If it's going to work better for your story, you want to do that, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to that. But you also want to look out for things like V pointed out, like, do you have room to set up? Is there enough room for that? Is there enough room for the cast and crew? How small is this location? Are they going to be able to fit? Where are they going to have to stay? Where is makeup going to be? Those kinds of things need to be figured out. Parking. Is there enough parking for everybody? Or are they going to have to be shuttled in from somewhere and park offsite? Electricity, is there electricity in that location? Do they have enough electricity for the things that you need? Or are you going to need to get generators?
Outlets as well. How many outlets if you're going to need extension cords?
Do all the outlets work?
Yeah.
Things like that. Bathrooms, does the location have bathrooms for your crew and cast? Or are you going to have
Safety
to
as well.
bring
like
in
how
some like
close-
porta potties and stuff like that?
How close is it to the nearest urgent care hospital, that kind of thing?
Is it noisy? Is there foot traffic, airplanes, trains? Are there noisy neighbors? Is there a bus station nearby? Is there construction going on in the area? Those are all things you want to keep in mind. And that's why it's also good to go back,
And
like
that's
V was saying,
something-
to figure out if there's any of those things going on at different times of day. Construction won't be going on during night, but it'll be going on during the day. So if you have to be there for both those times, you want to know.
And something like we said, like you don't always have to go full on and spend a crap ton on location. Like learn to adapt and be able to use a location for as many things as possible and be creative, but also try not to cut too many corners, because those things are important. And if you can't, it's all about balance, and that's definitely something that we like to reiterate, because we're constantly talking about how like you don't need to get the most expensive camera, you don't need to spend like thousands of dollars on location or whatever every time. Like filmmaking is also resourcefulness, but also remember that these pre-production is very important. A lot of movies die, a lot of productions in general die in pre-production, during pre-production, and never get off the ground because of it. So just always remember these important things and try not to cut corners. I don't know
Right.
if I worded that right. I'm really tired, but hopefully.
I was understanding. And then another thing you want to look out for is there any area you can't show? Either it's not going to work for the story, like maybe one of the walls doesn't work or part of the location isn't going to work. So you can only use a certain angle. So is that still going to work for your story? And also, is there any like logos or something? Maybe there's a McDonald's outside that you can see if you look out the window. Well, you don't want to get their logo into this film because then you have to either, cut them out, do something green screen. You just want to know like what you might have to do to take out any of those kind of complications, or if you don't want to use that space at all because of that, or if you just don't want to look in that direction, you want to know all those things. So just if there's any logos or any companies or anything like that around that area. And then again, you just want to know where the sun is and what the location looks like different times of day, because the sun moves. If it's an outdoors location, especially, what does that location look like at night? What does that location look like, twilight, midday, morning? It's all going to look very different, especially depending on how the buildings are aligned and or whatever the location is, however everything's aligned. It's going to have different shadows and different things like that, different reflections from the light. So those are all some things you want to look out for, and there's probably a lot more, but just like that. Moving on. Brian, another one we kind of already went over with you on Monday. What are the 3 lights called in a 3-point setup?
Key, fill, and backlight.
Correct. So the key light's the main light fills in those shadows to whatever degree you want, and the backlight is to separate the subject from the background. Sarah.
Yeah.
What are techniques to soften the light? You already mentioned it earlier. I'm not sure if you were in, but
To soften the light on the
subject. How would you soften, like if you had a hard light, how would you soften it? There's a few things you can do.
You could put a screen.
Yes. Diffusion.
Diffusion. Yeah. You can do a bounce off, so you can have it be an indirect light source.
Yep.
You can change the bulb.
Kind of. I mean, those are the 2 main ones. I'm gonna just say those are like the main ways to do it. You either diffuse it by putting it through like a diffusion material, which spreads the light because it's going through some kind of cloth, usually white, or like she said, you bounce it off of something like a reflector or a wall or anything, and that way it bounces the light and spreads it more, and that softens the light. Another way sort of to get softer light is to bring a light closer to the subject, because the bigger the light source is relative to the subject, the softer it looks. But if you only have a hard light and you're bringing it closer, it's not exactly going to be soft. It's going to be softer than when it was farther away. But it's also probably going to be really too bright if you bring it too close. So really the 2 main ways to get it is bouncing light and diffusing light. Colin.
Yes.
You ready? What are practicals in lighting? What does practicals mean? That's all.
I have to guess for this. I would imagine. Let me think. Like, is it something that like supports the lighting or anything like that? Like,
no, it's actually it is a light itself. It's just a certain one, I guess.
Is it like the main light or like?
No, all right, so I'll just answer it for you. It's actually lights that are seen in the frame. So if you see like a lamp in the frame, that would be a practical. Or if you see, ceiling light or any firelight, any kind of light in the scene that's actually in the frame that you can see in camera is a practical.
That doesn't mean that the light that you see is solely coming through that light,
Wait.
obviously.
Priscilla, what is motivated light?
Oh,
There
that's
you go.
right.
Go ahead.
Motivated light is the light that you add to alongside the practical to give the appearance of the light coming from just that practical, right? The light that you add to the shot to complement and complete the lighting.
Right. Okay. So motivated light is light that's made to look like it's coming from a source. And usually that can either be practicals, it could be the moon, it could be the sun, it could be normal house lights. It's just made to kind of match and imitate it. So if you have a fire and you're shooting a shot, you'll notice that the fire is not actually giving off enough light to light up the subject in a nice enough way for the camera to see. So you actually add light to make it look like it's coming from the fire. You make it kind of the color temperature of the fire and things like that, and make, wave it around or make it flicker to make it imitate the fire. But that way it's brighter so the camera can see it and it looks like it's coming from the fire alone. So it's motivated by that fire, but it's really a different light source that you're using.
But you're making it to where it's not obvious. It's the same color temperature. It looks like it could be coming from that light. It looks like it could be moonlight, or it looks like it could be firelight, just a prettier upped version of it,
Pretty much, yeah. The alternative is unmotivated light, and that just has no reason to be there. It seems like it's coming out of nowhere. It's seen in some movies, but what a lot of movies do and try to do is motivated light to make it there be a reason for there to be light in certain areas. Like you're imitating that it might be coming from a window. Well, there you go. You're motivating it by a window. And so you're doing like moonlight through a window, and that's your motivation for the light to be there. Even though you don't ever show the window, that's what the motivation is, for there to be light. So that's what that means. V, what is room tone?
What is room tone?
Let's see, room tone.
I don't know what I was doing.
For my activity, yeah.
Man, I wish we would have recorded more of the little. We kept forgetting to like record and take pictures of the little exercises we did.
Yes, correct. She says the ambient sound you collect to assist in editing and ADR. So every room you record in is going to have a certain sound. If it's a very unique room or a very large room, different areas of the room are even going to have a unique sound. There might be the fridge in the background, or there's just some, any kind of ambient noise that you can't really hear unless you pay really close attention to. You're going to notice it when you're editing. Even if you can't hear anything, if you be completely silent and you can't hear anything, there's still some kind of noise that's going to be there. And you will notice if you don't capture room tone and you go into editing your film, and you're trying to cut different parts together that were taken at different times, they're going to have like these weird, and it's going to have these weird cutoff points like that. It's going to make weird noises. And what room tone does is it kind of makes it flow all together, so it sounds like it was recorded all at once. And you put it in between or underneath the edits so that it flows and doesn't have those weird jolts.
Now here's the thing. And
an ADR, so that if you have to ADR it, you can try to match.
Basically, so it sounds like it was actually recorded at the same time in the same room, natural. And not just too quiet, like it was obviously a recording, because it's supposed to sound like people talking. You're not supposed to think, oh, there's probably a mic here and a mic here, and it's a recording. You're supposed to watch it as if you were actually hearing those people talk, But one thing that was interesting was in one of our exercises, we have this stupid water heater or whatever it's called. that will just randomly start and stop making noises. And our fridge, which will randomly start and stop making noises. So, like, we didn't know if what we had recorded was while the fridge was making noise or while the water pump was making noise. So we made sure to get like 4 different room tones. We made sure to get it like with the fridge making noise, without the fridge making noise, with the pump making noise, and without the pump making noise, with both making noise together, and with like both making noise, like none making noise. It's just like, we don't know if this is necessary or if this is gonna just be more work, but just in case, because we were like so worried that it wasn't gonna sound the same.
Yeah, because you can also use it to try to take away some sound if you have a sound editing program. Like if you give it the kind of sound you want to take away, oftentimes you can kind of tweak it a bit and maybe take away some of that sound that you don't want. It really depends though on where that frequency hits, because it might be a little too noisy or loud and might start taking away from some of the sound of the dialogue if it's in the more of the midtones of the frequencies. So it just depends, but it can be used for that as well. But the main use of room tone is to apply it to your edit so that it all seamlessly sounds like it's coming from the same places. All right, Brian, what does ADR stand for? Now that we're mentioning ADR.
Dang, you guys had just mentioned it yesterday. I forgot something about alternate recording or something like that.
Your sound, I do.
Nah, it's all right. All right, you ready?
And a lot of people get this wrong because, like, apparently some people call it something, but like
I've heard different names for it, but what I always find when I look, like when I actually look it up.
Yeah, like in the technical books and
What'd you say?
Hmm?
Oh, you ready for the answer?
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Okay, automated dialogue replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though like technically like they call it automated because of the old process they use was a lot more like hands-on and crazy to get it done. But really like it's a very manual process for us today. When you're thinking about automated, it's not very automated. Like you still have to have
Yeah,
people doing
that always throws me. I always think it's audio.
Yeah.
Audio.
oh yeah,
Like,
me too. And a lot
Right.
of
I
people
always
do,
think
like,
that's why I
very
was
common.
dang.
Yeah. Like that's what I assumed as well. But like yeah, automated dialogue replacement.
I was trying to figure out the A. I know the rest of it, but the A.
Yeah, multiple people call it different things, but that's just the technical term that we've seen in like technical videos and textbooks and stuff like that. But yeah, it's surprising how people call it different things. It's just I think it's one of those terms that people just have been saying for so long that they don't really think about. They know what it means. They don't really need to think about what every acronym.
All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next question. Sarah,
Yep.
what is ADR used for?
ADR, wouldn't it be used a lot in video games?
No, it's used for post-production stuff and films and stuff.
Okay. What's ADR stand for again?
Automated dialogue replacement.
Automatic dialogue replacement. Okay, so I guess that would be anywhere I guess where you would have like a repeated sounds. No, shoot, I don't know.
No. All right, so it's actually used for replacing the audio that's not working for your production and the dialogue. But it's like you might have filmed your thing in a coffee shop, and the coffee shop might have been a little noisy. There might have been people talking in the background that you didn't want, but that's the only location you can get, or just, you know, whatever scenario like that. There's a lot of echo, or there's a lot of street traffic, or, you know, there's a lot of different things that can come into your sound. And so if it's not working, you can't just kind of clear it up and take away the things you don't want without affecting other parts of your sound. So what they will do is do a process called ADR, and that is in post-production. They'll have the actor come back and they'll try to redo their lines exactly along with their lip movement and the way they did it on set. So they try to like match the emotion and the whatever the character was going through and the way they portrayed it, as well as trying to
Yeah, like that.
say it
Cool.
again. They also sometimes will use it to try to get a better performance out of somebody, but that is very hard because it is a very unnatural feeling to be in a studio setting and being in character to give that same emotion and that same depth to the character, which is why you shouldn't rely on it. But it is a process for replacing it if needed.
A cool example
But
that
try to get it best on set is what they
a
always
cool
say.
example that we showed last semester that was really fun was the Hugh Jackman scene in I think X-Men, whatever the time traveling one was. And he was like running and like breathing and like and like being fighting as well, like running and fighting people and cutting them up and stuff. And because there was so much movement, there was probably like a bunch of wind and stuff. So Hugh Jackman, I think it was like his home studio or something, he was recreating that scene while watching it on the screen. He was like recreating it and making the noises and making the body movements and all this stuff. And it was a really cool video to watch. But another option, I suppose, is you have a coffee scene and you ADR'd almost everything in your entire movie, yet that super echoey, super noisy coffee scene you just refused to ADR via the room, for example, for some reason. Like almost every other scene you ADR, but that one that is extremely echoey and extremely like people filled. For some reason, that one just didn't.
Moving on.
I know it's like such a gripe I have with it. I'm sorry. I'm like, what?
Great story, Mike.
Everything else.
All right, Colin. What is catch light?
Oh my God, I'm getting all the lighting questions. This is from the part I wasn't here.
What?
I was not here for lighting. That's the thing.
I thought he was gonna
So
make a
this is the
joke about how
problem.
it's the lighting.
It's in the name, bro. It's in the name.
Oh, catch light.
Yeah, it's in the name.
Catch light?
Yeah, you gotta catch it. Yeah.
Don't give me hints. I want to try and guess it.
It's the light that's getting away.
And you need to catch it. Yeah, I thought because it's Colin.
No, I'm just kidding. It's not. So what it is it's the light that reflects in a person's eyes, the subject's eyes. It's called the catch light because sometimes, they'll do a light specifically for it to try to do a certain shape. Depending on what kind of light source you're using, it might be round, square, or others. Like a ring light will have a weird like halo looking effect on somebody's eyes if you really get close. So catch light just reflects that light in their eyes looking at the camera. So Priscilla,
Yes.
what is a walla track
What?
in sound? We went over this. Walla track.
Why do I always get the sound questions? Okay,
You always get the names.
I know the terms and the stuff that I'm worst at. It's like you're doing it on purpose. Wallet track. I don't know if I know this. Jeez. Okay.
Would you like the answer?
No.
Hmm.
Give me a minute. If I can, I'll let you know I can't. Wallet track is. It's not like recording the sound of stuff, right? Like,
No,
like
no,
footsteps?
no.
Okay. Wallet track is it like a wild track?
No.
No.
I mean, no, it's different altogether.
I give up. I don't know.
A walla track is something that's done in post-production most of the time. I mean, it can be done on set, but it's rarely done on set. But it's the murmur of a crowd or the crowd making a noise.
Crap, I did know that. I just didn't know the name.
So if you have a big group of people that are gasping or they're in a restaurant or they're at a party or something like that, you're going to have these people in the background, the extras, the background actors. They're going to be miming things. They're not really going to be making sound because you want to make sure to capture the principal actors' voices and make sure you get clean audio on them. And then either on set at the end, you'll say, all right, everybody, all the background actors actually talk now, have a conversation in this party, or how about this, or do that,
And then they'll
or
mix
just
it
go
together.
to make it sound like you're talking. Well, sometimes we'll do that.
And then they'll mix it together. Yeah.
But usually they'll do it in post-production, and they'll just get like a group of people back together to do it in a studio setting, kind of like ADR, but for a group, just to get those background noises to make it sound realistic.
I did know what it was. Dang it. I just didn't know that that's what it was called.
Gotcha. All right. Who's next? I think it's V. How did you guys switch around? All right, I'm gonna go with Brian because he's next on my screen. What is we went over this on Monday as well. What is the CRI rating on a light? What does CRI stand for? And what does it mean?
It means something about the way the light reflects off of objects, pertaining to natural, getting the actual color versus the light coloration
Mhm.
of it. And then I can't remember that. I don't know. I'm not good with acronyms. I don't know.
Got you. No problem. Yes, you're right. CRI is color rendering index. It's a scale used when you're buying a light. It'll tell you what the CRI is, unless it's kind of bad and they don't want to show what the CRI is. They won't have it, or they won't even try to get it tested. But for the more expensive ones, they want to try to show that it can be as accurate as possible. And one of the ways they do that is showing you, hey, this CRI rating's really high, which means that it's going to accurately reflect the colors of whatever image you are trying to produce.
Or even if you don't want that, if you're going for a more muted look, or if you're going for a more.
You don't want to do that because you can always take that out in post. So you always want to try to get the best CRI you can on your budget. It's not everything. Like, it doesn't exactly mean it's going to be the same. Different brands and stuff, they're going to have different looks. It's like a camera. But this is one of the ratings to say like that it picks up more color accurately, that there's more dynamic range in that color for the light.
Yeah, you didn't let me finish. I wasn't gonna say do that. I was just gonna say, like, even if you want that, try to go for
Oh yeah, because the less it has, it will be a little more muted, or it might give off a more magenta or green hue, which makes it look a little.
It's just better
different.
to have as much control as possible.
Oh, we can see it right here. The one on the left, it has a 50 CRI. So 100 is the best, 0 is the worst. So 50, you can see it's like the colors of that are very blended together. They're everything's a little more green than it should be. And then you can see the higher you get, the more saturated they all look. So it helps to not have to like put on gels and to do stuff in post-production to get it to look a little more natural. So when you get a light like that and it's right off the bat, it's good. It's really good.
Like I said, these acronyms, I'm pretty sure it's just one of those things that you learn what they actually mean in film school, or like while you're learning, and then afterwards you know what it means, but you know what it is, but the actual meaning of the acronym just like
yeah, I mean, the name of it doesn't matter as long as you know what CRI is, what it does, and what you're doing when you're looking for a light.
I just feel like the important thing is you know what it is, you know what it does.
But I'm still gonna give out the name.
No, yeah, definitely. I'm just saying that I feel like that's one of those things that everyone in the industry knows what it means, like knows what it is. But if you ask them what the abbreviation stands for, a lot of them will forget because it's like, I haven't actually like used the whole thing, the whole name for the thing in so long or whatever.
Yeah.
You got so used to the abbreviation.
All right, V. What are wild takes or wild tracks in sound? It's the same thing, but some people call them wild takes, some people call them wild tracks. So not walla, these are wild.
Yeah, whatever.
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying like because they sound similar.
I'm joking with you. It's fine. I'm just really tired, so my tone level's not
great. She said usually sounds captured, recorded from outdoors to then use in post. Some can be, but what it really means is that it's like it can be those two. Yes. Sound effects or actors' dialogue. So do you know the answer or like the rest of it? that is what they're used. Like you can record all those things. Okay, so the wild takes, they're sounds that are recorded. Yes, just audio tracks. They're recorded without video. So if you need to have an actor in the scene, oftentimes this will be used just to make sure you get a clean take of the actor's dialogue. Sometimes if the actor is fighting with another character in a scene, they are overlapping on their audio a lot. And to make sure you get it, if something's not working in that edit, that version, even if it was like, they did a really good performance, they still try to get a wild take where they just get the audio so that they can maybe show the back of somebody's head and use a piece of audio from that take. If something's not working, if they're overlapping, that way they have everybody's audio all at once so they can focus on certain things over others. If something's more important in the fight. Other uses are recording different sounds on set that you really won't be able to get in post as well as easily, like a certain type of coffee machine or something that's making these, that has a lot of different pieces to it that all make a different sound and make it sound a little bit unique. Then you want to try to capture that as best you can on set, but you don't need pictures for that because it'll just be applied later as a sound effect. People's footsteps, things like that, they might capture on set as well as a wild take, just so that there's a reference point. So all those things are used. All right, so Sarah,
Yep.
what is Foley in post-production
Foley.
sound?
In post-production sound, Foley is like all the like add-in sound effects. So if you had to add in like footsteps, or like maybe you wanted to add in splashing or anything that you're not actually recording on the day, it'll be recorded in studio, in the in the Foley studio, where they make the sound to sound like whatever they need in the film.
Yep.
Probably a lot in video games for all the added sounds and things.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot in video games too.
And animation as well. Like you would have that in like animation shows, so it'd be tons of Foley. And then
Yes.
probably a decent amount in action movies as well, because there's a lot going on.
Oh yeah, it's just, even in like normal movies, you wouldn't think they always have it because the
True, but
steps
the-
people are taking, the shoes
Yeah.
that they might be wearing, those things can all be different, and the type of floor they're walking on is different. So what Foley artists will do, like Sarah said, is they'll try to mimic those steps. So they'll get different kinds of shoes. They have a bunch of different looking floors and different tiles and dirt, leaves, different things, so that wherever area they are in the scene, they can mimic it in the studio and try to match their footsteps exactly right. If they need one character to sound a little more like they're in charge, they might give them like heavier sounding footsteps than the other person who's a little more meek and scared. They'll give them a little lighter footsteps, but they'll still be stepping on the same ground, things like that. So the three main things that Foley do, they do steps, cloth, and props. So like Sarah said, if somebody's splashing, they'll do stuff like that. They'll move cloth around. Like the best example would be when Superman's cape is blowing in the wind. They just took like a big thick cloth and they just kind of like shook it around in front of the mic to make it sound like wherever that cape is moving, it sounds exactly the same. They're moving it in the same way to match it. And those things you can't really do from pre-recorded sound effects, which is why you have that Foley done to really match it exactly to your film. Colin, you get another one. I wonder if you'll know this.
Okay.
What is negative fill in lighting?
Oh, I mean, is that just, in lighting?
Yeah, I mean, you use it in like a lighting, or it can be
I
grip.
don't know what you mean. Like, because I know what negative film is. It's just like the other, you just kind of reverse all the colors, right? Like that's all it is. But I don't know what you mean. Like, do you
A
mean, like,
negative
lighting one?
fill.
Negative fill. Oh, okay. Oh, maybe it's so would it just be like the idea of like you try to illuminate like, or it's sort of like doing the opposite, like you try to illuminate in like the opposite way or something like that?
Yeah,
Like-
actually kind of. So, like fill would be adding light. Negative fill is trying to take away some of that light. So you add that dimension. I'll show a picture real quick.
Okay.
So on the left, it's just, like I said, when you're using soft light, sometimes it wraps around the whole subject, especially depending on what you have. And then it makes them look a little flatter if they're completely evenly lit, which is why there's this thing called negative fill, where you add something to block that light, something black material, like a flag or something like that, to block it so that there is that more shadow, more depth, more dimension. So it's like the opposite of putting a fill light in.
Yeah, okay.
It's just taking it away. And it is like, it's not really like the lighting department. If you have different departments on set, it would be the grip department doing it. But on a lower budget, it would probably just be the lighting and the DP doing stuff like that.
Cool.
Priscilla, what is the difference in a film score and a film soundtrack?
The soundtrack are bands, musicians, songs that you either acquire the rights to, or have a band perform for your film. And the score is the melody or music that you get a composer to create for you, like the song of the score for this particular movie.
Mhm. Yep, that's right. So the soundtrack, like she said, it's just it's like a selection of either pre-recorded songs, or not pre-recorded, but just recorded songs for the film. They said these can either be original or they can be pre-existing. So they can be made for the movie, but it's like somebody singing, or it's a specific song just to overlay over the whatever's happening. And a composition, a score, is a composition done by a composer to really drive that emotion and those things in your film. And it'll be the underlying music and the background music and all of that kind of stuff will be that score.
That said, though, if you buy a CD that says soundtrack, it'll have both the score and the soundtrack. So,
Yeah, that's true. All right. Brian, what are the two main copyright licenses you will need to use music in your project? Not a score. If you're getting if you're getting a pre-existing song, there's two main copyright licenses that you got to get to use it. I wouldn't know these either, just let you know.
It's not copyright. I don't know. I'm not gonna.
All right. So one of them is called the master use license. That's usually controlled by like a record label or something like that. And then there's another one called the synchronization license, which is usually controlled by a publisher. In many cases, the company might represent both of them, but in certain instances, certain songs, they're owned by different people, and you'll have to get approval by those different people. So anytime anybody's trying to get a song that's used, just make sure that you are looking for the different who owns it, because it might not all be owned by that same company. It might be 3 companies that owns different parts of it that you have to get permission from each to be able to use it.
and even if it's the same artist, like in the case of how like Michael Jackson has songs that are owned. Oh no, Paul McCartney has songs that are from the Beatles that are owned by Michael Jackson because he acquired them. And so you have to pay like his estate to play certain Beatles songs on the radio.
Right. So he owns the license to that. So you'd have to get permission from him to use it and stuff like that. So
Even
Those are
though-
the things you got to do.
So
So
it varies
anytime
on
you're
which
using
song.
music, it can get very complicated,
Yeah.
which is why they try to tell you to like kind of maybe stay away from it unless you know what you're doing, because there's a lot of different, you got to just make sure you're covering your back and make sure you got all the different licenses you need, because some songs are very split up and some songs are owned all by like the same company or person.
Because you might be using multiple songs from the same band.
So going with an indie band is usually better because they usually own their own music or have one person, one publisher or record label that are representing them, that own all the material to it, the different things. Because there's different parts to music. There's the lyrics, there's the composition, and there's the final recording of it with the person who sang it while the composition was playing, while the lyrics were sang. Those three things in one would be like the master use, and then the other ones would be all those other licenses. So.
Yeah, even if you're getting a movie where you're playing only this band songs or that band songs, those particular songs might all be owned by different people, and then you have that like different parts of that song might also be owned by different people and different things, which is also really annoying.
Yeah, it can get very annoying depending on what song you're trying to get. So just keep that in mind. V, what is a gaffer on a set? She said, oh no.
A gaffer? Who are you asking?
V.
Mm. V, you there?
Thank you.
What was it, Sarah?
Oh, you said you asked V what a gaffer is?
Yeah, V, what a gaffer was. Crew for lighting department. It is in the lighting department.
They're the guy that holds the pole and does the sound boom, aren't they?
Sorry, what?
No, that's the boom. That's the pole, boom pole. Isn't the gaffer's the one that does the it's the soft sound pickup thing. The
Brian, would you like to take over and answer?
Sure, it's the chief technician for the lighting department,
chief technician for lighting department.
responsible for
Yep.
execution of the lighting plan set out from the cinematographer.
Yep, so
you
they'll
have the-
work closely with the cinematographer to figure out how to set up the lights, how the look needs to be, and what kind of lights they need to use. And they're the head of the lighting department, so they're the ones talking to everybody else of how to set it up.
Yeah, it's kind of like a military thing. How you have your generals, you have your sergeants, and your generals, and the generals give out the orders, and the sergeants make sure that it's executed. So your gaffer would be like a sergeant who's pretty much in charge. Then under gaffer, you would have your grips. So the gaffer barks out the orders, and the grips physically set everything up. So it's like, oh, we need this light here. A gaffer would make sure all that stuff. And a gaffer's main job is like, making sure the lights are working properly, making sure all the, not really an electrician, but you're kind of like going into that realm, making sure you have all the right wattages and what I said wattages, but making sure you have the right watts and everything you need to not blow a fuse out on your set and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. They would be like if you were doing a tech scout and you brought your gaffer along, they would be looking at all those outlets, making sure they work, seeing how they would be checking the breaker box to see how, like you said, how much watts it can voltage. What's the actual term for that? But how much it can do without blowing out, so that because if you have these very high-end lights, like HMI lights, they take a lot of power. And so the gaffer will need to know if they need to bring that extra generator and things like that, and they'll know what to do with that. They'll know a lot about lights and electricity and how much it takes and the different kind of lights and how much power they need and how much power they use and all that kind of stuff. 'Cause, 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 So Sarah,
Hmm?
what are the different kinds of lights that we?
Oh, it's fair
I just
light,
said one of them, HMI.
HMI.
Yep. So what are
Uh,
the other ones? The names of the different kinds of lights you can use on a set.
well, the softbox lights. There's HMI lights. There's what are there's the what are they called? The skylights. And there's the I know what's the name of the moonlight one? Fuck.
HMI, like usually for a moonlight, you'd use HMI lights because they're these really big lights.
The 1 second.
Would you like me to keep to
I
Go ahead.
named stuff is like, well, I just like, I don't know. Let me think. HMI lights, there's the soft lights, there's the what's the big ones? What are they?
Yep. Okay. So I'm gonna actually share my screen. So I was like kind of show you guys the lights because it's easier than just giving you names. LED, that's a big one. LED is
Yeah.
really starting to take off. LED lights. There's HMI lights, which are these big, huge ones that they use to mimic sun or the moon or something like that, or just, do really big, large sources of light. Tungsten light, those are kind of like the older ones that were used. Like they're still used in some sets, but the two do tend to get like very hot. The reason they're still used is they are bright and they are very accurate with their colors. And they give off like a pretty orange tungsten light that people like the aesthetic of. So there's tungsten lights, HMI lights, LED lights. There's these things called LCloud lights. Let's see if I can. I'm not shopping. LCloud lights are like they're used on stages a lot, but they're used in film to have these very specific areas where the light can go. You can see in this picture, they're very pinpointed. So you can make like little sunspots or do little interesting things kind of like this with them, where you're blocking off part of it and only having one part show where maybe it looks like it's going through some kind of glass or something like that. But they're often used on stages and things like that to give off these kind of looks where you're shining the light through to the performer, and the fog and stuff are showing all those light streams. And then I think the other one, fluorescent lights. So I can find it. And fluorescent lights are like these tube ones. They don't have to be tubes, but this is the most common version of them. You can have just one bulb, or you can have a panel that has multiple bulbs like this, where they give off. The problem with fluorescents is they can flicker. If you have a high shutter speed, they start to like looking like they're flickering. And also they give off kind of a green hue, somewhat like this. So you want to be a little careful with it, but they do have their own unique look and feel to them. And especially if you're using something like a hospital scene, they can really help to give off that feel, because there's a little bit of like flickering and a little bit of green hue, making people look a little more sickly than they normally would. So that's why those are still used as well.
Okay, so let me go over that again. LCloud lights, fluorescent lights, HMI lights, halogen lights, and what else were the lights? There was the
There's fluorescent lights, LCloud lights, tungsten, HMI, LED, and yeah, halogen as well.
and LED. Okay.
Yeah. And so LED is like starting to be used mostly on independent films now, like because they're a lot more versatile and they can do a lot more things. They can be different colors and things like that. But on the higher budget sets, you'll have all different types of lights a lot of the times, because they want to have a very unique look or a very specific look. Especially with HMI, they give off a lot of light. The problem with LEDs is they don't give off as much light as the other ones. So they're not as bright. So it does tend to be a bit of a issue if you need to have the light really far away and still be very bright on your subject. Those things can come into account whenever you're doing a shot. So that's why all these different lights are still used today. But LED is, it's taken off in independent stuff because they're a little cheaper and they're a lot cheaper and they're more versatile and things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just like thinking it'd be fun next time on set. I'll just start pointing out all the lights.
Yeah, it's like seeing which kind is what.
Yeah,
kind of lights
well,
you
it's not just like which kind, because I know like kind of like the general areas that put the lights. Now I guess it's being more specific around exactly which type of light that they're using in the specific places. Because like oftentimes on like inside sets, you have like the giant window. Like if you've got a house set, you've got lights
Mhm.
always coming in from the windows or the
Yep.
back. So there's like specific. You see a lot of the similar lighting setups on different sets.
Yep.
And then on other sets, like outside sets, oftentimes you have the blimp light. What's the blimp light one? That's the HMI.
The big one, yeah, the big one that mimics the sun.
Yeah. that's
Yeah,
the
HMI lights
yeah,
are often
Okay.
used for that
the blimp.
because they
I
just
call it
have,
the
but
blimp.
they require so much power, but they give off like the most light
Oh,
out of
yeah.
all the rest.
Usually for like really big outdoor sets, they'll use blimp or HMI lights. I call it the blimp because it looks like a blimp.
Oh yeah,
Well, it just helps me, and then
it
I
is.
go
Like, it
HMI.
is very like big and it's up in the air and everything.
Yeah, and
usually,
it looks
so.
like it's flying. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the one. I've seen that quite a bit, and that's a really cool light that they use for like outdoor stuff. And then they also have like the really big round ones.
Yep.
Huge, like what kind of light is that one?
Wait, the
Really
round
big
ones
one.
are the. Let me show a picture real quick so we can see if we're talking about the same thing. So that one would be the HMI light.
HDMI.
HMI, like that one would be the HMI light on the screen.
Okay, that's not the blimp that I'm talking about.
Okay, it must be a different thing that you mean.
Yeah, look up movie set blimp light. Maybe it'll show, and I'll show you the picture. Looks like an actual like big. It's used on like huge sets. There, yeah, the yourself the blimp. Yeah, that's the
Oh,
one.
yeah.
See, it looks like a giant blimp. It's huge.
Yeah, I think
It's
that would
big
also be
outdoors.
it would be an HMI light probably
Yeah.
inside of something, I would assume.
Yeah, it's huge and it looks like it's flying. It's like held down. Yeah,
Yeah.
those things are really cool, and you can see it's used for like really big outdoor sets, not like a small like two. You wouldn't have this for like a small like 3-person scene. It's for like scenes like that, really big.
Yeah, with like a
scenes.
bunch of people like out at carnival
Yeah,
scene or just
or
like
like
this kind of thing.
scene. Yeah, so they'll have it for like when you have like a whole shot of like multiple buildings. You have it at the carnival scene. You have the blimp light, and look how far up it goes. So I think it has to be on a crane, or they said oh no, I think it actually like blows up. I'm not sure. I don't think it's on a crane. I think it just like floats and is tied down. If that makes any
That's
sense.
cool. Yeah, I've never seen that. I'll have to look up like what kind of light they actually have inside of it.
Yeah, but it's also cool like how they're actually like I'd like to see specifically how they're like raised up, because I'm pretty sure they're like it's almost like they're filled, so they kind of like raise themselves up. They
Kind of like a hot air balloon.
Yeah, that's why it's like a blimp, and then it's like tied down. There's such cool lights.
Yeah, that's
Although we
cool.
have a crane over here, so I'm not sure if that blimp's attached to the crane on the right.
Right.
I'm
Huh.
unsure about that.
Yeah, I'll look into
I'll
that.
need to look into
I'll
it,
check it
yeah.
out later. Thanks.
Yeah, it's cool, right?
Yeah, it's really cool.
And then like so for like a house scene in studio and stuff, you'll have like the square lights or like the big square lights, which is the I'm trying to match.
Maybe
no,
like
that's-
this.
Certainly. No, that's just that's a square blimp.
Oh, okay.
And now I'm talking about like inside studio, so you'll have like a window and you have like a really big like either round or square like window light. And I
Yeah.
think that's the fluorescent or halogen. I can't remember. I'm just trying to tie them together in my brain, which light that would be.
So usually what I've seen is they either use large LED lights or they use HMI lights for like shooting through windows and stuff like that.
Okay, same thing. Okay, cool. Good to
Yeah.
know.
I mean, unless they're trying to get a very specific spot, then it'd be like those LCloud lights that are very like a spotlight. but
That makes sense.
for a
I'm
window, they're
trying
trying to usually like do a big area. So
Yeah, so I've seen like visually seen the different lights, and now I'm just tying in the names. The
yeah,
specific names, not the names that I give them all.
right, yeah,
Well, because like if I don't know, I just like I like associate my own, like, oh, that's the square light used for windows, or like I see that all the time, and then I'll go. So when I'm on set, I've taken like a look and
Mhm.
seeing, but you know, that
but like
makes
knowing
sense.
what they're actually called and things.
Yeah, the specific actual like textbook term, it's just going over my head,
Right.
making
Gotcha.
sure that it's like down pats.
All right. One last question, guys. It's the last one.
Yeah.
Colin, do you know this one? Let's see.
Oh my God. We'll see.
All right. So when you're recording audio, what decibel level do you never want to get to or go over?
Oh, I don't know this. But I mean, I know I know approximately what's like reasonable. So maybe like 90.
No, that would be like way over. That'd be distorted as can be.
Oh, okay. Then how about wait? Let me get another guess then. How about like 50?
Nope. Okay,
Okay, what is
so
it?
let me see if I can actually bring this up. That's not what I want. Here we go. So this one on the left is what you're looking at. You want to guess now?
I can't see the,
You can't see
which
it?
one you mean on the left. Oh, one on the left. Oh. It must be different from what I'm used to seeing measured because
Yes. Okay. So for decibels, there's a different scales for different things.
yeah, that's why.
So like digital audio has this one on the left. And so the thing you don't want to get to or go over is 0. 0 decibels is actually where it cuts off, because that's when it starts getting distorted and it starts sounding ugly and clipping. So you want to keep it below that, and around like -6, they say that's like the warning area, where it's like starting to get to that area and gives you a warning like, hey, you're getting really close to clipping, so bring it down a bit. And you would usually stay around like -12 to -18 for audio, for dialogue, and then like sound effects might be like -24 and things like that. But yeah, -0 is what you don't want to ever get to or go over, because then it distorts the audio and makes it sound awful.
Makes sense.
All right, guys, that was all the questions. Thanks to everybody for answering. I was surprised you guys actually knew a lot more. Even Colin, like you were guessing, you were getting them pretty
I
close.
got a couple. But I'm happy I got at least a couple. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the last thing I wanted to do is just talk about next semester. Next semester, guys, we are going to be starting January 3rd. It's going to be the same times and the same days. It's going to be Mondays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern. So January 3rd is when we're going to begin. So we have the next 2 weeks off. Everybody enjoy your Christmas and your New Year's. And then we'll be back to start next semester. Next semester, we are going to be studying. It's going to be kind of pretty heavy with all the different things we're studying. It's going to be very, a lot to learn, a lot to go over anyway. Editing, which is going to be pretty broad in its terms of like what we're studying. It's going to be, we're just delving into the beginnings of it. And if you want to get further into it, you're going to have to start studying it on your own, because we don't have enough time to delve into every single aspect of it. But we're going to be looking into editing. We're going to be talking about equipment, the different kind of equipment that you might need for shooting, and what kind of the main brands are. We're going to be talking about prices and things like that. So if you're just starting out trying to get equipment and stuff, you can kind of start learning about what to look for. We'll be talking about things like, for the lights, like CRI rating, to make sure it's color accurate. Talking about things like that for each kind of piece of equipment, so we can kind of really go into that. And then the last thing will be budgeting and financing. So the exercises for next semester are going to be based on editing. They're going to be based on like, we're going to watch a movie, we're going to take a scene, and we're going to just try to mimic the kind of style of that edit. Some movies, they edit with really quick cuts. Some edits try to do match cuts where they're blending in the scenes and do a lot of transitions, and it's a lot more slow, and they're holding the shot for a lot longer. And other films will do it very quick, or they'll cut away to something you wouldn't expect. So there's different unique editing styles used that we'll be looking into and talking about and doing exercises on, so we can kind of delve into that a bit. And then we'll also be doing some exercises on budgets and creating a budget, so that, and what to look for when we're talking about budget, and maybe how to get financing, or some ideas of how to get financing and things to look out for, and maybe like grants, maybe crowdfunding. We'll talk about the pros and cons of those kinds of things. So there's gonna be a lot we're gonna go over, and it's gonna be a pretty hectic semester, but I'm really interested to jump into it. I know editing, but like editing is so in depth that I was hoping to like get a little bit of a better grasp on the different things, because little tiny things can affect everything, like the different codecs used and things like that we'll learn about. Which is like, you know, like how much, like how degrading the footage is going to be after being exported, and these different codecs and what to use for different things and things like that. So I'm hoping to learn more about that to have a better grasp, because those things always get me confused and annoyed because they're so small, you don't really think about them usually. And then
Yeah,
just
it's
for
all in the
budget, just to
detail.
talk about like how
Yeah.
expensive some films are, you know, how expensive you can get and why, and where the money goes, and what you should consider when you're trying to think of making your own thing. All the different aspects you need to look into to make sure you have enough funding for it. And then financing, just trying to find money and things like that, and trying to get investors, or trying to use a site like what's it called, Kickstarter, and other sites like that, and pros and cons and all those kinds of things. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that?
No, nothing. Yeah, I just agree. It's all in like the details, and then there's also like probably like getting to know producers and things like that as well, because like crowdfunding and those kinds of things. Then on bigger productions, I think it's mostly big producers and things.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, so like for budgeting and financing, we're not really going to delve as much into distribution. That's going to be a different thing to delve into entirely, because there's a lot more to talk about in that area.
yeah.
But we will be talking somewhat about it next semester as well, because that does kind of play a role. Sometimes some films are able to get a distributor based on the script. I mean, if they have, you know, like they have a history of projects and they're successful, then sometimes a distributor will come to them and say, hey, do you have any other scripts? And then they'll give the financing for it before it even starts. And some other ones, you'll have to try to get them to distribute your film after you're done with it. It just depends on where you are in the process, and how much you've done, and how successful your past stuff has been, and things like that, or how much they believe in your project. So yeah, I will be sending out the next syllabus to everyone when I have it ready. I'm a little more than halfway done. Excuse me, a little more than halfway done. So I'll be working on that and hopefully sending that out like next week or the week after. Either way, you'll get it before the next semester starts. Thanks to everybody for coming. Thanks for being here and learning with us, and can't wait to learn with the next people. The editing thing is going to be like, it's going to be technical a lot, but it's also going to be talking about like story flow, pacing, timing, and like things you need to know if you're directing your own project, even if you're not editing it yourself. Ways that you can like talk to your editors and see, make suggestions of how to make an edit better or different, so that you kind of know like their terminology and their language, so that you can kind of discuss it with them. So it'll be those two aspects on editing, but it'll also be a lot of technical stuff, and talking about the technical side of things and how you might get it done. Like I said, like codecs and stuff like that are going to be very technical. But then there's also talking about like story and how to edit for the emotion and things like that.
Yeah,
So-
sounds good. I agree with everything, and I really value these classes. So I'm really looking forward to January and to delve into the next kind of things, and this rocks. And yeah, it is, oh, there's so many like small specific details and so much to know, and it's fantastic.
Yes, and I like learning about each one, and I'm glad to have you all with me to learn about it too. And Brian, hopefully you're back because I know you know some stuff about editing as well, so you can give in your 2 cents, I'm sure.
Definitely an overlooked subject since we've been doing this. And
Mhm.
we've been a lot on like cinematography, which is cool, but this cinematography without editing, like you can have the best lighting in the world and you have a crap editor and then that all goes to shit. So
Yeah.
Or an editor can even save the project depending on how bad it's going. Like an editor can really work hard to make it work. They can't save it if it's complete trash in the shooting. But if it's not flowing as well as it might be, an editor will be able to know like where they can cut, what they can take out, and what to rearrange scenes to make it work really well, depending on if you have a good editor or not. So editing is very important to the whole process. And it can enhance the emotion, and it can enhance people's the actors' performances even just from cutting early. Or maybe the edit will, somebody was supposed to be screaming and they just lost a loved one, so they're screaming and they're really sad, but their performance wasn't the best. Well, the editor can remove the sound and just have music play over it. The emotion's still there. The performance looks good. It just didn't sound good maybe. And now it works well together, and it makes the actor seem better as well, that they gave a better performance. So
Fantastic.
editing is
That's
very
so
important
awesome.
to that whole process.
Yeah, no, definitely, like you have good footage, you have good sound, and then like editing, it just like, it's like making it happen.
Like bringing it all together.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. I appreciate all of you. I hope you guys have a good Christmas and a good New Year, and I'll see you all in a few weeks.
Sounds great. See you guys then. Enjoy your Christmas, everybody. Take care.
Yeah, hope to see you guys as soon as possible. I don't know if I'll be able to make it because again, it's at 2 in the morning where I'll be next semester, but like,
Yeah.
I'll try
Oh,
to like,
dang. Okay.
join as much as possible, I guess.
All right.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming, Colin. And I'm glad
Yeah.
you're still able to pop in every now and then, even though you're super busy with school and everything.
Yeah, I mean, after I'm done, I'll be back here, so I'll join then. Yeah,
All
Awesome.
right.
guys.
Looking forward
yeah,
to it, man.
Okay.
Bye.
See you guys
Have a
all.
good break.
All right,
See you
bye,
guys.
guys.
Bye. Enjoy Christmas. Happy New Year.